Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to DiscussionVerse, and in today's video, I'm going to be calling out all the bullshit with the continued injustices happening in Minneapolis and across the United States really, as we are already not as far off as people think from signs that define Nazi Germany, Mussolini's Italy, and other totalitarian regimes that we've seen before in history where oppressors demand obedience over humanity. And before anything else, I need to say this plainly. This video exists because silence is complicity. Whether you've got 10 subscribers or 10 million, having a platform, any platform really, comes with a responsibility. Not to play nice, not to chase comfort, but to use your voice when something is deeply and morally wrong and people are being harmed in real time. And this video stands for accountability. It stands for calling out injustice when it happens. And most of all, this is to stand for refusing to accept a country where violence against its own people is committed by our very own government on a daily basis while still being treated as normal. And this is becoming more and more serious, especially right now in the United States, as citizens are actively being killed, and too many people, creators included, are choosing silence because it's convenient and it's too uncomfortable or bad for their brand to speak out against it. But really, I don't give a fuck, and I'm going to continue to speak out against it. And if you're watching this and you heavily agree that what's happening right now is just plain fucking wrong, and that this deserves full attention, not silence, then I need you to do something really quick. And that is hitting that like button so this gets pushed to more people. Then subscribe to the channel if you want more conversations that don't tiptoe around uncomfortable truths. And lastly, share this video. Because the only way information like this doesn't get buried is if regular people refuse to let them be ignored and continue to spread it like wildfire. And this is how we break the cycle and break out of those echo chambers and make sure that the awareness spreads. And this is how platforms, whether they're big or small, actually start to make a true impact and difference. We have 2 American citizens killed on United States soil by federal law enforcement agents, and not in some war zone and not in a foreign dictatorship, but here in our own cities and in broad daylight. Their names, Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And make sure you say those names out loud and remember them for the rest of your lives, because the corporate spin machine and political operatives want you to forget and really to turn the other cheek. Renee Good was a 37-year-old US citizen who was shot multiple times in the face by an ICE agent during a federal operation ongoing in Minneapolis, and this happened a few weeks ago on January 7th. And we know from the video that she lived in that residence and she was just trying to back out and get out of there to allow the ICE agents to do whatever they needed to do and not intervene. She was even heard saying that she wasn't mad and she understood and she was just gonna go and drive off before trying to turn her car, where an agent in front of her literally leans in and attempts to get hit to justify him capping off and shooting her 3 times in the face, murdering her in cold broad daylight. And don't try to argue this, there are literally multiple angles and videos out there for reference, and it all points to that ICE agent absolutely murdering this poor innocent woman. And even more recently, on January 24th, Alex Preddy, a 37-year-old ICU nurse who cared for veterans, was shot multiple times and murdered in cold blood by Federal Border Patrol ICE agents while he was video recording their activity and trying to help others near him that were being pushed by said ICE agents and also being sprayed with pepper spray. Body cam and bystander footage contradict official ICE claims that he forced their hand. They then try to spin the narrative that he was carrying a weapon even though he had a concealed weapons permit as allowed in the state of Minneapolis and protected by the constitutional right with the Second Amendment. And in that footage, we can clearly see an ICE agent disarm him and throw the gun across before they begin to continue to attack him, before ultimately shooting him as he lied on the ground face down. And this wasn't just one shot, this was more or less 10 shots at point blank range, and we're getting new word that it was actually 2 agents that unloaded on this man. It's absolutely fucking disgusting and deplorable how they were able to get away with this, and we're literally seeing modern day Gestapo execute people in the streets. 1 minute you're recording for public safety and exercising your right in freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, and your right to bear arms, and then the next thing you're executed, and the government begins to attempt to cover this up by calling you a threat and trying to change the narrative. And remember this, no official charges have yet been filed against the officers in either killing. And there's really no way to sugarcoat this. We're literally watching as the United States president and his totalitarian regime are taking pages out of Hitler's playbook and implementing that on US soil. Consider the media manipulation, for example, as some news sources and officials are trying to dress this up as, quote, justified force and, quote, tragic encounter. But we have the following facts with videos of Alex Preddy standing and recording only while not intervening or attacking ICE agents. We have additional footage showing that he was not brandishing his concealed pistol, which he had a license for to carry in the state of Minneapolis. And again, by your Second Amendment, you are allowed to bear arms. We also have eyewitness testimony and video footage showing that Alex Preddy was pinned, disarmed, and then shot multiple times. There is no way that this is a misunderstanding. We are watching as an authoritarian regime is taking over the federal government and implementing violence against civilians, and we the people, we the public are rightfully furious, and protests are continuing to happen all over the United States beyond Minnesota and even beyond the United States itself, as we have other countries rallying for us to break away from this Nazi fascist regime that has been allowed to be birthed and brewed in America. And no, I can't forget this whole culture of hypocrisy, especially when it comes to relevant TV shows, movies, comic books, basically anything within the pop culture hemisphere. And I'm talking to all you fucking grifters that claim to like Star Wars, Batman, Spider-Man, X-Men, Harry Potter, V for Vendetta, The Punisher, or any real pop culture movie, TV show, comic book, story, whatever you can think of. You guys sit there and claim to believe in the ideals and morals set forth in these movies or stories, but in reality, when it comes to stuff like this, you turn a blind eye and you begin to lick the boot of that Nazi. I don't even think you guys realize how goofy and stupid you guys both look and sound when in real life and shit begins to hit the fan. You guys are the first ones to start acting like villains. Where's your outrage then? Where are the don't tread on me folks who flipped out about background checks and a proposed different approach to gun reform? When it comes to active civil liberties being taken away in broad daylight in front of our very eyes? Where are the Second Amendment fundamentalists now that federal agents are essentially putting bullets into citizens on the street and disarming them before they do just that? I don't see any of these people out here using their voice the way that they did when they were bitching and complaining then. Exactly. It's just fucking crickets. You're the type to only care when it actually affects you and not when it affects human lives across the board. And that stems from you not being able to be selfless and look past your own selfish ways. And truly, that's a real shame. And really, you guys are all just out there displaying your performative outrage, and that only adds to your bootlicking apologist agenda. This is a blatant systemic use of force that's not being held accountable. And if we don't speak up and if we don't say it out loud, it will never just end with Renee Good and Alex Preddy or anyone else for that matter. And here's another uncomfortable truth. You cannot claim to defend freedom while excusing the trampling of constitutional rights and unchecked government violence under a borderline authoritarian leader on US soil. That's not patriotism, that's submission dressed up as loyalty, and at the end of the day, you're a Nazi bootlicking fuck. This problem doesn't just stay in Minneapolis, it never does. Unchecked authority always expands, normalized violence always spread, and silence always becomes precedent. And this is the exact reason why creators cannot hide behind neutrality. If you profit from culture, stories, commentary, or community, and then suddenly decide to go quiet when injustice hits, you are not neutral by any means, and you are just a biased piece of shit. This is why I speak up, because I refuse to stay silent when injustice happens, and because having a platform means using it to speak out against such injustices. And staying quiet or doing nothing and looking away, this isn't how I was raised to be. The movies, comics, and stories that I've grown up with, these really shaped how I navigate the world and taught me real morals. And this is to stand up and do what's right, even when it's uncomfortable and there are those that are trying to stop you. Every time someone ignores what's happening or begins to rationalize it, they're just simply letting that continue and are just as complicit. Not speaking out isn't protection. It's a direct choice. A choice to side with the system over the people that it harms. At this point, you either stand for justice or you are willing to let it be trampled on. And this video serves as proof of one of those moments that defines who exactly showed up and who decided to look away and turn a blind eye. And I know we're in super dark times right now, But now is truly the moment to stand, as every act of courage, every word spoken against such injustices, and every person refusing to stay silent, that in itself is what hope is. So if you're watching this, you are already on the right side. Continue to share this, continue to speak up, and make sure that this does not go forgotten. This does wrap up my video for you guys, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. And of course, one last friendly reminder for you guys to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and of course, comment and share this video like wildfire. Until next time, I will catch you guys later. Peace.